First of all, I would like to thank all of you for coming here, and especially to our friends from the press. I'm really grateful to you, all of you. I'll talk a little bit about why I wrote the book, whom it is meant for, and my dream for rural India, where I've spent major part of my life. I guess all authors have an urge to tell the world what they have discovered. Writing a book helps them share their knowledge, and in my case, the urge was to share my experiments of doing renewable energy R&D in a rural setting. Too often, the record of research and development is written up as articles. Thank you. I can see better now. Is written up as articles in journals and books. The human interest story of the way the research was done, interactions with the stakeholders, and the pushes and pulls in doing it are left out of the record. This book is an attempt to record these details. It also shows how R&D can be done in a small rural institute and hopefully should provide inspiration to other NGOs who want to do a similar type of work. Doing R&D in any setting is a challenging task, but more so in rural setting, and especially when there was no role model to emulate, since NARI was the first rural NGO in India in early 1980s to initiate work in renewable energy R&D. This book is an account of that unique experiment. Therefore, it was quite a challenge to set up a lab in Phaltan. Phaltan is 100 kilometers southeast of Pune, in rural Maharashtra, after I came back from United States in 1981. There was a flat piece of land, and where I was supposed to set up the lab. If I had an iota of intelligence, I probably would not have taken this step. In fact, a lot of my friends in IIT Kanpur in the United States, they told me that I was committing a harakari, which probably I was. Why I came back to rural Maharashtra is a long story, but a real story is what Nandini told all of you. She was the one who dragged me back. She said, I'm going, you can do whatever you want. So I had to follow my wife. I have written about this in an earlier book called 1970s America, an Indian student's journey. I have given this to Dr. Rajat Moona, and I'm going to give 2 more copies so that you can keep it in the library. It would be suffice to say that I came back because of my arrogance and the naive belief that I would change India. All of us have this great ego at that time that we are idealists, we would like to do this, etc. India did not change. After all, it is a very old society. But it changed me and helped me decide and work in the for the rural population and helped me decide which technologies and strategies to develop. For the first 2 years after we returned from US, my wife Nandini and I lived in a small rented house in the slums of Phaltan. We moved into our present house, we designed by me in early 1984. Both of us used to bicycle back and forth to the institute every day, a total distance of about 12 kilometers. The problems of riding a bicycle on slopes and against wind gave me an impetus and idea on what should be done to improve the bicycle. And that gave us an idea on the work on our electric vehicles. As they say, laziness is the mother of invention. They say that the necessity is the mother of invention, but I think laziness is the mother of invention. Similarly, in early 1980s, Phaltan used to have a very regular blackouts, and we had to frequently use hurricane lanterns. This was the incentive for us to develop better lanterns and lighting devices. In fact, most of the problems we worked on came from my direct experience of living in rural India. In fact, I would suggest that a lot of you should live for some time in rural India to get problems in your DNA. So what were the pinpricks for others was an opportunity for us to develop technologies. In those days, one had to go to Pune, a town of 100 kilometers away, coming here, to buy even small things. Now with its milk, sugarcane, and horticulture economy, Phaltan has grown to be a mid-sized town with supermarkets and easy availability of other services. Telecommunication facilities were almost non-existent in those times, and it was a nightmare to make a long-distance phone calls to any place. One had to book a call in the morning, and if one was lucky, the call would materialize by evening. Sometimes it did not even materialize. So quite a few times, I would hop on the bus and come to Pune to my friend's place just to make phone calls. It's a very interesting thing, but in those times, I'll tell you about the Junoon that we just did this. The bus journey in those times took about 4 hours one way. Lack of communication gave us an impetus to get an email connection. In fact, in 1995, we were probably the first rural organization to get email when India was just hooking up into the internet connectivity. Working in such a challenging environment and trying to do good R&D is what I really feel is a romance of innovation. And I think that we have managed to do some decent work, and this book is an account of that. Our work at NARI has mostly focused on developing devices, hardware, and policies for rural areas, with a special emphasis on the use of high technology for holistic and sustainable India, which Dr. Mashalkar has propagated all over the world. Quite a few of these technologies and ideas have been picked up nationally and internationally, and that has been an exhilarating experience. For example, our work on Taluka energy self-sufficiency became a national policy. Similarly, our pioneering work on ethanol from sweet sorghum is now established nationally and internationally. So is our work on biomass gasifiers, safflower, multi-fuel lanterns, and so on and so forth, and that you will read in the book. All these pioneering efforts have inspired people all over the world. For our efforts in rural development, we have also got few prizes, both nationally and internationally. What is this book? Whom is this book meant for? The aim of this book is to inspire youngsters, hopefully, this is my dream, to enter the field of rural innovations. Thus, besides writing about what we did, I have also given at the end of each chapter challenges in technological development in that field, what we perceived as challenges, what we perceive that you should utilize high technology and which we could not solve is what have been given at the end of each chapter. I hope they should inspire and provide a food for thought for rural R&D practitioners. Only time and readership will tell whether we have succeeded in our mission. Nevertheless, I have made the book freely available on the net so that the youngsters anywhere can have easy access to it. Besides, ebook is also very good in the sense that I can keep on changing it. It's like a Mahabharata. Mahabharata was written in, it was not written by one person, it was not written in one age, it was written in large number of years, and so that I think whenever I get an idea, it should be able to possible. And my fond hope is that more and more bright young engineers and scientists are engaged in doing excellent R&D for rural population. This is an age of innovation, and R&D helps in the process. Unless and until the young engineers and scientists produce innovations for rural population, we will not be able to make this country a great nation. India is a young society, and with 54% of its population below 25 years of age. The aspirations of this young generation, mostly who live in rural India, are not being fulfilled. With increasing exposure to mass media, they aspire to a better quality of life, which I think can be made possible with development and application of technology beneficial for them. It is indeed a matter of shame for all of us that 67 years after independence, we still have 60% of our rural population, almost 100 million households, living in primitive conditions. They lack electricity, clean cooking fuel, potable water, and toilets in their homes. Somehow, modern technology has not touched their lives. To find solutions to these problems offers the greatest challenge for any engineer or technologist, and our work outlined in this book has shown that it is possible to do so, though in a limited manner. Writing of this book has also given me an opportunity to introspect. It's a very interesting thing. When you write something, you start thinking about what happened, why it could happen, what other things could have been done. There have been many lessons learned and directions and path for future shown. One of the biggest lessons is that R&D in rural setting is not for faint-hearted. That I learned later on. Initially, it was a junoon. You didn't think about it. You just kept on doing it. This is also true for all social entrepreneurship. One should have a passion or junoon for doing R&D and be prepared for long innings. One cannot achieve things very fast. It is necessary to have patience, junoon, and ability to multitask. So if the research was not going in the right direction or there are bottlenecks, then one should do other things. In my case, I thought and wrote about these issues affecting rural India and interaction of spirituality and technology. And I'm very proud of my writings on spirituality and technology, for which we are quite well known. Writing about these issues was very therapeutic and also gave me a better perspective in life. There are many pinpricks while working in rural areas, and hence the most important thing is that we should have an unfettered mind with least worries about family matters. I was very lucky to have an understanding wife. In fact, all my classmates, they could not come because they always said that their wives didn't want to go back to India. My wife said, I'm going to India, so I had to come. So you have to have a wife like that, because without that, it is not possible to come and work in rural area. Besides, living simply also helps in this endeavor. We have simplified our life, and that has been a very useful thing, because then you can focus on higher things like working for rural R&D. Money, this is not a vocation for money-minded. Money is important, and our experience has shown that it comes when the work is good. We have had no problems in getting grants. In fact, we have had many times refused grant because we didn't have people. So the money is there. It is just that there has to be a genuine and the focus to doing some good R&D. However, the biggest problem has been in getting good people to do rural R&D. This is the biggest bane of working in rural setting. R&D cannot be done by people who are attracted to money alone. It needs people with passion and genuine. How to get talented young people is the greatest challenge. Yet, I am very optimistic about the young people of this country. They are smart. They want to do meaningful work in their lives, and if inspired, can do wonders. Therefore, it is a challenge for all of us to inspire the youngsters. In my innumerable interactions with youngsters all over the country, in IITs, IIMs, and other institutions, I have always felt that they would like to engage in rural development, but somehow the pressures of family and peers dissuade them. Nevertheless, there are encouraging signs that quite a number of young engineers would like to give back to society, and I feel in coming years, this trickle can become a deluge. Another challenge in doing R&D in rural setting, and that is what we were talking in the morning with Dr. Rajat Muna and Dr. Mashalkar, has been the problem of commercialization of our technologies. Some of it has been done, but this is an area which needs improvement. I long for the General Electric model of Irving, Langmuir, Whitney type of partnership for commercializing of the research. Irving Langmuir was a remarkable scientist. He was the first industrial chemist to get the Nobel Prize for his inventions in General Electric. He always said that he was having fun in doing research, and Dr. Whitney, who was the director of research at GE, he said, you don't worry about the other part, you keep on having fun, I'll commercialize it. And that, to my mind, was a remarkable partnership which set the tone of all industrial R&D in the US in 1920s and 30s. I dream of that. I wish that we could have something like that. How we get R&D work done by small rural institutes, and some sort of things to be done by others. I feel that this is a food for thought, and my fond hope is that science and technology NGOs like us and corporates could enter into a partnership which might help this venture. This issue is discussed at length in my book, and I have given it quite some thought. I also feel that rural innovations can expand rapidly if venture funds are available. The rise of IT sector has shown that venture funds help in innovations and commercialization. I feel that their availability in rural areas may also help in engaging bright students for rural innovations. Finally, my dream for rural India. I have given some thought and pointers towards this issue in the last chapter called Roadmap for Rural India. This is also the chapter in which I have outlined my dream. Basically, the roadmap has the following components: to improve the lives of rural poor by developing mechanism for making available modern devices for rural households at reasonable price, creating rural livelihoods for them via high-tech agriculture. And we are now working with Mahindra, hopefully, in trying to develop precision agriculture, and let's see how it goes. In fact, I gave this as a challenge to the CDAC also, that we should do something together. And finally, the last thing is, which is to my mind is the most important: how do we get smart and intelligent youngsters and the best brains in the country to engage in rural development? The focus should be to bring 100 million rural households into the fold of middle class. That should be our aim. The future of India belongs to the younger generation. All of us have to do our bit to get them involved in helping improve the lives of rural poor. If we do not do so, there will be serious social conflicts. The rise of Maoist movement, which has engulfed 1/3 of our country, points to the dangers of that. Unless and until we can provide basic amenities so that the rural poor can live a meaningful life, we will never become a great nation. This is a great challenge for all youngsters, and it is my dream that they take it up and provide innovative solutions so as to make India a better place in which to live and work. Thank you very much, and happy reading.